Hi, welcome to this short presentation on the macOS by MoveUp. This is a quick tutorial for you to get acquainted with macOS if you're not already familiar with it, before you go on to learning other aspects of Xcode and developing iOS using Swift. This window is the desktop, like you have in the Windows operating system also. This is a desktop and you have icons on the desktop. And you have a docking bar at the bottom. This lists all the key applications that you regularly use, the applications that are already open, and other applications like the trash can, recycle bin. One of the most important applications of any operating system is how you handle the files. In macOS, this is called the Finder, and it's this icon at the bottom. You click on this and it opens up the Finder window. Just like any other operating system, it lists the high-level folders and the subfolders. For example, you have the desktop and lists all the files on the desktop. This desktop shows two files here, and you have only one file here because Mac has automatically grouped them together. Both these, it identifies them as films and groups them as films, makes it easier for you to handle and use it. Similarly, you have the applications folder, where this is like the program files, the list of all the applications that you have in the operating system. However, it's very easy to use these. You can simply copy over this Atom icon into another macOS and it is installed there. You don't have to do anything further. It's very easy to remove it, unlike uninstallations required in the other operating system. Simply remove it to bin and it's gone. For now, let us not touch it. Let's look at AirDrop. AirDrop is a feature of Mac operating system. Here you'll be able to see all the other Mac and iPhone operating systems devices in the vicinity. For example, if I have an iPhone, that iPhone is going to be listed here, and I should be able to drag drop anything from the desktop or my documents folder into the particular device that I want to transfer it to. This acts like a simple Wi-Fi peer-to-peer sharing network. Let's look at the window here. This window is a common window, except for the fact that the minimize and maximize buttons are on the left. The red color button is the close button. Let's open it up again. The yellow color button is the minimize button. It gets minimized and sits in the dock. You can find it in the dock. You should be able to open it up here. And the green color button is the maximize button. When you maximize it, notice all the menu bar is gone, completely maximized. If you want to access the menu bar, simply move your mouse over to the top and the menu bar appears. If you notice, there are two types of two heading areas here. One is the Windows title bar, which contains the name of the current application or the file, and the control buttons. And then this is the system menu bar. This is actually the menu bar of this particular Finder. You have File, Edit, View, Go. But it's also a system finder. You'll always find this app icon on the top left. We'll discuss a little bit about this later on in the presentation. Now let's close. To bring it back to the original size, click on the green button again to toggle between maximize and original size and close it. Another important feature of the Mac operating system is the Spotlight Finder. You click on the command button and the space bar. Please notice that there is a control button and there is a command button. So most of the operations you typically do with the control button, like Control C, Control V, Control X, are all done with the command button in the macOS operating system. So if you want to copy a set of text, for example, you select the text and then you do a Command C, not a Control C. Most of the keyboard shortcuts start with a command. Command spacebar is going to bring up a spotlight search like this. And this basically you can search whatever you want. For example, let's look at a film name here, screenshot recording, right? So let's search for the screenshot recording. And it's going to bring up all the applications, film, system preferences, everything that starts with a screen. And screen recording is here, right? You might want to take a screenshot, it's an application, screen sharing is an application, but you also have the files that you see on the desktop here. This is also useful we use it regularly to start off applications. For example, if you were to start off Finder, you do this. And there you go. If you want to look at mail, you do this. And there you go. Another important feature of the Mac operating system is the App Store. App Store is where all the apps are stored, and you'll be able to install it from the App Store and uninstall it like we discussed in the Finder. How do you go to the App Store and install a new app? Go to the Spotlight Finder, click on App Store. There you go. So this is the App Store, which lists all the apps that are available. Let's say, for example, I want to install a Notes application. I search for Notes and list all the Notes application. As you notice, some of these are paid and some of these are free. A paid application, typically when you click on this, it's going to ask you to buy an app, and the transaction is done from your App Store. When you create an Apple ID, it will ask you for your credit card, and when you do a buy app, it automatically gets debited from that credit card. Some of these applications are not chargeable. For example, Evernote is not chargeable. I go ahead and click on install. You can now see Evernote getting installed on the screen. Once it installs, it will be able to access the application. Once it installs, you'll have the open button. You can simply click on this open button to open up the application. There you go. Now you can start working with this. Let's try to close this Evernote. Now we don't find the X button anywhere here. You could go to the Docker. You will see the Evernote icon. Double tap on this, which is equivalent to the right click in other operating systems, and you should be able to quit this application. And quit. Another way to open an application, like I said, is go to the Spotlight bar, search for Evernote, and there you go. Now the application is back on. There you go. Let's see how to look at the Mac and what are the features of the app, what OS is installed, so on and so forth. Sometime back I mentioned this Apple button at the top left. Click on that and you'll see about this Mac. And this Apple button is always there irrespective of whichever application you open. Now no application open, it's always there. When you click on that, it opens up and it displays the operating system that your Mac is currently working on. macOS Catalina versions 10.15.5. It runs on a processor, 1.8 GHz, blah blah blah, and you have all the details about the hardware. You also have the Displays tab from which you can set your display preferences. You can probably connect a projector and mirror your screen, so on and so forth. You also have a storage area where it displays how much storage is actually used on a Mac. You can click on the Manage button to manage the how much storage is used by which parts of your Mac OS. You can clean them up, and there you go. So that's about the Mac. So this is one important area you would want to know, especially when you're debugging. Another important aspect of the Mac operating system is the system preferences. The system preferences is like the control panel in your Windows. It helps you create new users, it lets you control your desktop, it lets you update software, it lets you configure your network, Bluetooth, printers, whatever. Now let's take you through this process a little bit in detail. Now, if you see this application, this lists the existing users and has the ability to add or remove users. However, you'll not be able to click on the add user. That's because this is an administrative task and requires an administrative password. You have to click on this lock button and enter the administrative password before you can do any write operations with this system. Now you'll be able to add a second. This is standard for all the system preferences. So be aware that there's a lock at the bottom. You have to tick it before you can do any edit operations on any of these icons. For the purposes of developing iOS applications in Xcode using Swift, you would need three important applications. The first application is Xcode. I already have it installed, otherwise go to the App Store and get it installed. You would also need the iBooks app. This comes installed by default in all Macs. So you need the Books application. You'd also need the Keynote application where some of the presentations are present. Keynote doesn't always also comes default with the macOS, but if it's not there, go ahead and install it from the App Store. Well, that's it for now. Hope you have fun using Mac and developing applications for iOS. For now, thank you and bye from Madan and the Nova team.